Hello everyone and welcome to Daria Draws. Today we are concluding the trilogy of upgrading the self-portraits. If you haven't watched the previous two videos, you can do that in the link above. And if you have, let's just get to painting. Now let's have a closer look at what we're dealing with today. As you can see, this portrait is slightly better than the previous two, but I wouldn't call it good. And of course, I'm going to make the body a little more proportionate to the head and fix the nose. I think that is my main goal here because, again, I didn't put any nostrils. I have no idea why. And yeah, I just want to kind of bring all of the shapes into a more cohesive, more united, kind of finished look. As for the palette, it is pretty much the same as with the previous two portraits, so I didn't include the mixing and just giving you kind of an idea of the colors and the shades I'm working with. Now, as I said, my main goal is to fix the body and match it to the head, so that's exactly where I'm starting to redraw the painting. I'm using a reddish tone, as always, so that it can stand out but also blend in nicely with the skin tone. I'm also going to get rid of the harsh shadows that don't really go with the idea of the portrait, and they're not really supposed to be there, so I'm slowly kind of getting rid of them, making the shapes look a little softer. As you also can see, I'm using more muted tones that are kind of closer to each other value-wise, because I don't want to stress myself out from the very beginning and use a highlight. Of course, I do like to put highlights at early stages, but for now I just want to really kind of unite the whole thing, and so that it looks like one human being, not just, you know, different parts from different people. And of course, I'm not thinking about any of the details at the moment. I'm just doing all the bigger planes and bigger parts. So there isn't any like gentle color transitions at this point. They're just all very plain, very straightforward. Even though I do appreciate a good dramatic shadow, it is always good to keep in mind that you have certain places in your painting that are the darkest, and even if your shadows are dark, you cannot go as dark as those places. So in my case, it is going to be the shirt and the eyes. Even the eyes are going to be slightly lighter than the shirt. So in no way my shadows can reach the level of darkness of the eyes. They have to be lighter. Normally it would be easier to start with soft touches, soft edges with the sable brush, but since I am redoing an old painting and I already have a full-on layer of oils under what I'm trying to build, I do need to use some harsher edges because I need to basically remodel the face and the shoulders. Now I'm just building a little bit of an opacity in the shoulders, and again trying to kind of coordinate the head and the shoulders so that they look like one unit. I'm also refreshing the background, making it a little bit darker and a little more dramatic so that the light face with the light hair stands out on this black background even more. Once I have rebuilt the face, I can finally relax and make it a little softer and actually make it look like flesh and that has muscles underneath. And yeah, so now I'm just kind of softening up while still maintaining the needed values. Now I keep talking about unity and how the head has to match the body and vice versa, but it's not only about the drawings and it's not only about the shapes, but also of course the color. And the colors do have to match. Of course, certain places will be darker, like the chest and the nose, and usually the hands, so basically the parts that are more naturally exposed to sun. There are some exceptions as always, but that's the overall rule. So even if you're having certain cool colors like in the neck or in the temples, it's nice to go on top with a warmer tone so that it really looks like the skin is covering all of the muscles, all of the vascular system that we have in our bodies, and it just kind of creates another element of unity that will look very nice in the painting. If I have a smaller format like this, I really like working with a smaller brush just because it gives you that imperfect blend. Since my skin is very freckleish, I have a lot of moles, I think it's just perfect, and it creates that skin texture as well. So you're kind of blending without blending too much and building texture at the same time. So it's basically 3-in-1, and it saves a lot of time as well. Also, I think a nice detail and something that maybe some beginner artists are missing is that the teeth and the inside of the eye is never white. It is always a little bit muted, a little bit with the blue, with the gray, and even the highlights are never pure white. I always add a little bit of yellow or blue to them, just because again, pure white will scream out and stand out way too much and will drag all the unwanted kind of attention to it. And here you can see exactly how the blending process happens. I always use values that are very similar to each other, so if I need to make a smoother transition, I would just choose like a medium tone between the two tones which I want to transition into each other, so that you don't have to drag those colors around, but instead you're just putting something that's a certain medium and then drag the colors a little bit less, and that creates a more organic transfer, I guess. So yeah, in general the details are very important, but if you don't have the basics done and if you don't have the structure done, everything will be falling apart. So this is just a little extra something to make the portrait pop, but even without those things it will still work. Now the hair, of course, is soft, but it still in certain places has to follow the shape of the head. So if you were to tilt, obviously the hair will not just stick out, it will follow the shape. But you do still have some rogue hairs flying off of that shape, and so it's nice to add those details as well. I think it makes the portrait look a little bit more alive, and of course when that is done with a very soft touch, like barely noticeable, that's when the magic happens. Of course, the main accent is the eyes. That's how we convey our emotion. That's how we read it as well. So I think that's a very important detail. But then again, that has to go on top of a well-built structure. So in just a few seconds, you're going to see the end result. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content from me. Also, you can see how the portraits look up on my wall and my Instagram, which also will be linked down below. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.